Hello, my name is Audrey Baenziger, and today I'd like to talk about inclusion and diversity at the company Apple. First, I'd like to go over my introduction. Apple was created in 1976 by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, who were college dropouts. The goal is to make computers small enough for people to have them at work or school. They started building the computers in Steve Jobs' garage, then started selling them and were successful immediately. They created the mouse, icons, and the functional graphical user interface in 1979. And over the years, they have created the Macintosh, iPod, iPad, iPhone, MacBook, Apple Lisa, AirPods, and many more products. The overall goals and vision that Apple has is to make the best products on Earth and to leave the world better than we found it. One of Apple's goals is to richen the lives of people throughout the world of technology and understanding it. Next, I'd like to go over diversity/inclusion component addressed by the organization. The most recent diversity issue that Apple has faced was the pressure of yielding to Donald Trump's push to take away DEI programs within organizations. An article by The Guardian explains, the outcome vindicated Apple's management decision to stand behind its diversity commitment even though Trump asked the U.S. Department of Justice to look into whether these types of programs have discriminated against employees whose race or gender are not aligned with the initiative's goals. Based off of the quote from this article, it is clear that Apple is holding strong to keep their DEI program because of how important they see it for their employees and for their customers. Next, I'd like to go over the process the organization took to make change. From looking at different news articles, Apple has always been for diversity and inclusion. In 1985, they were starting to create the Macintosh, which is a text-to-speak device that people who are deaf can use. They were able to find a way to make technology to help the people that really needed it. And the people involved in this design were, of the goal of inclusivity, were Joseph Katz and Mark Barton. In addition to creating this device, Apple also opened their Office of Disability. There were not steps that got them here, but an overall mindset of having accessibility in the forefront. According to Bill Schiffmiller, as a hard of hearing man trying to make it into the world, my work at Apple showed me and allowed me to show others that accessibility is not extra. It is built in. It is right out of the box. That phrase means more than convenience. It is a mindset. By having accessibility in all of their products at the forefront, Apple was able to make products for everyone. And then next, I'd like to go over challenges faced by the organization. Apple has not had any challenges regarding diversity until now when faced with the push of getting rid of their DEI program. Trump has wanted to eliminate the programs and has tried pushing companies to do so. Apple has stayed firm with their decision to keep their program. And according to Amber Jackson from Telco magazine, Apple's decision to preserve its DEI programs coincides with efforts to maintain productive relationships with the Trump administration, which have been described as cordial. The company has already had to navigate trade policies and secured expectations from tariffs on its Chinese-manufactured iPhones through this relationship. Apple pushing against this elimination shows how much they value having a space for workers and customers with disabilities. And then next, I'd like to go over outcomes for the organization. The significant changes that occurred for Apple regarding diversity were working with the DEI organization in 1993 and not leaving them since. The outcome of this regarding the newest situation with Trump has shown that Apple didn't just defend its DEI initiatives, it actively urges shareholders to reject proposals aimed at dismantling them. This proactive stance resembles that the company's commitment to diversity is not only a moral imperative, but also a sound business strategy. There are many steps that Apple is currently taking regarding diversity and inclusion. According to the Immigrant's Journal, a diverse and inclusive workplace fosters a culture of belonging and respect, which in turn enhances employee satisfaction and loyalty. When employees feel seen and heard and valued, they are more likely to contribute their best work and remain committed to the company's mission. This quote shows the dedication that Apple has for positive outcomes for both their company and their workers. And finally, I'd like to go over the connection to course materials. Apple has strived to build inclusive workplaces, just as Christine Del Castillo talks about in her article, Strategies for Building an Inclusive Workplace. Castillo writes, an inclusive workplace has helped companies understand the needs of a diverse customer base. Apple has made every device accessible for any customer that buys it, which has made them a very accessible brand with an inclusive customer base. Apple has many connections to the ideas presented in Steve Robbins' book, What If? In Robbins' first chapter, it goes over his experience having a trout farm and how his trout did not survive because of the environment that they were in. Whether the differences are between people of color and white folk, between baby boomers and Generation Y, or between men and women, failure to develop an open mindset and respectful organization that takes people's needs into account makes us less efficient and hampers our ability to compete with organizations that have created truly inclusive and conducive environments. And based off of the evidence that we have learned about Apple so far, they care about every person that works for them and customer regardless of skin color, gender, or disability. According to Clear Company, a huge benefit of a diverse workforce is the wide range of perspectives that come together to collaborate and solve problems. When people with varied viewpoints, experiences, and abilities discuss problems, they tend to come up with more innovative solutions. And Apple states that many of us identify with more than one community or want to learn different perspectives as an ally. Apple wants to have a diverse team that can connect with multiple customers and not just one group. The last connection that I found from course materials is a TED Talk by Helen Turnbull on inclusion, exclusion, illusion, and collusion. Turnbull states that we are all human beings and that we are all alike. We share a human experience. Paradoxically, however, we are all uniquely different. Turnbull's statement aligns with the message that Apple is trying to portray, that we are all human beings deserving of technology, even if we use it for different reasons. We're all having the same human experience, but are so uniquely different. Apple strives to have products that can be used by every unique person. And then lastly, I have my references. Thank you so much for listening.